In this short video, I just want to mention an advanced functionality that you can sometimes use, but you should use carefully, and that's custom events and custom conversions. So custom events are similar to the standard events that I showed you in the last video, where you can track purchases, leads, registrations, subscriptions, and so on. But sometimes things that are outside of those events can be interesting for tracking purposes as well. One of the main purposes that you want to use those events is to be able to create specific audiences. So custom events and custom conversions can be used to create funky, very interesting audiences, but I do not recommend that you use them for optimization. Meaning that you tell your campaign, hey, I want to optimize for this custom event. That's pretty much always a bad idea, because Facebook is not going to be able to match that event to anything, and you're basically going to end up with no optimization. And therefore, you only want to optimize for the standard events. And the very small exception to that rule is if you are so big that your own data is enough to optimize. And so what then the Facebook algorithm can do is can understand your Facebook event information, see what kinds of people are completing that event, and then try and find more people like that and consider that they're more likely to complete that event. But that's miles a lot worse than the standard events. So unless you're super big and you spend tons of money, don't try optimizing for custom events and custom conversions. So what's the difference between custom events and custom conversions? Custom events are just like those events that you send, and they don't need to be considered conversions. For example, here Facebook have given the case where you can, for example, track visitors who share a promotion in order to get a discount. So let's say that I wanted to create a custom event for Masters Academy, and let's say let's pull the Academy up, and let's say that I want to create an event. So actually we don't need to open up the Academy website, but let's say I want to create an event that once someone signs up for the Academy and they get to complete a course or to get their certificate, that's when I want to send that custom event and say this guy got certified. Then what's going to happen is I'm now going to have that information in Facebook, and I'll be able to track what kinds of people are more likely to not only sign up for the course, but also go through it and get a certificate. And so I could create an audience for successful students or engaged learners. And then I could try and find people similar to them, and that would help me create an interesting audience. But I would never optimize for that event and try and create a campaign and say, hey, find me more engaged learners. You can use it to create a lookalike audience though in the future. And last but not least, wanted to mention the custom conversions. Custom conversions are only URL based. So those could be in the case where you can't or don't want to send an event, but maybe you have something like a thank you page. Those can be used like that, and they can be simply called URL based conversions, not custom conversions, because custom conversions carries a lot more meaning to it, but they are basically URL based conversions. And so whenever someone reaches a URL, you can send that type of custom conversion to Facebook. Now, custom events, you need to set up in the code and send to the Facebook pixel, and that's really a place where you should use developers. And custom conversions can be found in Business Manager under the Events Manager over here in Custom Conversions. And you can create a custom conversion from here, name it, let's say, Bazinga, and give it a description. And you need to choose which pixel it's going to be made for. In this case, that would be the test accounts pixel. You want to say what traffic is going to be affected over here. You will have more options once you get your pixel there. And you can also choose a standard event for optimization and basically match it and say, hey, this is more like view content event. I don't know. In the case of Masters Academy and the example that I gave you, you can see clearly that it doesn't really match any of the standard events. And if it did, I would use a standard event. If it's something that's very similar to a standard event, then you can use it and maybe you can optimize for it. You can also, if you can't find your event here, never select other. That's the most useless option you could ever find. Just go with the at least the standard Facebook selected category, and Facebook will try to find and match your event to a category that they find, which is unpredictable but still better than nothing. Or if you want to go with nothing, then go with other. Other should really be called nothing. And then here you need to set up your URL options. In this case, any URL that contains a, let's say, certificate, which would be the URL where we send people when they got their certificate. In this case, you click certificate, you click enter, and now any URL that contains certificate is going to fire that custom conversion called Bazinga. And you can also assign a value to it, and let's say that I make maybe $5 anytime someone gets certified, if that was the case. Or you could also have no conversion value, and then you click create and you have your custom conversion. And so now anytime anyone visits a URL that contains certificate, I will get a custom conversion called Bazinga, and I can use that in my Facebook pixel to optimize, which you shouldn't do, or to create audiences, which you can do and should probably do sometimes, to create some interesting audiences for remarketing, or sometimes even to create lookalike audiences. So that's it for custom events and conversions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.